She said her heart hurt, don't lie, go to church.
What's going on, my friends? Back again today with another video. Today we're going to be talking about creating some really cool, some really creative stuff within Adobe Premiere. We're also going to be using some Photoshop. It's obviously optional. You can do the same stuff within Premiere that we're doing in Photoshop. Photoshop is just going to make it easier and speed up the process. So today we're creating these paper rips, as I showed you at the beginning. I'm going to be showing you everything from wiping away the background to creating this kind of bursting effect. I'm also going to be giving you some more aesthetic tips, such as the film, the grain, this kind of burningness that you're seeing whenever it rips away. There's so many things you can do to add on to this. This tutorial was inspired by this music video right here. Some pretty cool paper rip effects going on here, as you can see, kind of ripping away the background, making things shake around like that. Here's another cool one where you can see you have this paper and it's like ripping away the background and then showing this video in the back here. You don't have to follow my tutorial exactly. You can just kind of use the techniques to create your own sort of style with this. Now, one of the best known people for using this style is Lonewolf. He's pretty unique with how he does it. He mixes together software editing as well as doing a bunch of real life stop motion animation. My purpose with these tutorials is never to teach you how to rip off someone's specific style. It's always to teach you some fundamental basics so that you can use that information, apply that to your own individual stuff, apply that to your own creativity, and then mold your own style into something that's reflective of yourself. So keep that in mind. I don't want you guys to go out there and just rip off all these people, just kind of study this until you're an exact copy, because that's really not going to get you anywhere. The real key is just learning how to do different things, learning about frames, learning about putting things together to create animations, to create different styles, different looks, and the rest is up to you guys. So we're going to hop into the software right here. We're going to start with an Adobe Premiere. I'm going to go ahead and hide this so that we can start from scratch. I'm using the footage from the last music video that I posted. I'll link down below to that if you do want to check it out. Also, if you guys are new here, consider subscribing, joining the community, leave a like if you do enjoy the content, helps the growth of the channel. So if you're looking for any new presets, anything to up your game within Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects, or the videos you're making, as well as we have a bunch of free resources, check out the link down in the description, MediaMonopoly.co. Get right into this. We're going to find a spot where we want to create that paper animation. So I chose right about here, and the first step is going to get a screen capture of this frame. So you guys could do a freeze frame, but I think it's easier just to do a screenshot. Go ahead and click this button right here, export frame, and then we're going to go ahead and click browse. Now the best thing to do here is just make a folder somewhere where it's easy to find. So I'm just going to put it on my desktop, and I have a folder called paper rips. Go ahead and click select folder, and then we can just name this something easy, like I'll name it 1. Okay, so we saved our screenshot. Let's go ahead and open up Photoshop. We're gonna go ahead and create a project that matches the resolution of the footage that we're working with. So mine was in 1920 by 1080. Let's go ahead and click create, and then let's go ahead and bring our screenshot in. So now that we have this within Photoshop and the resolution is matching, whenever we bring it back into Premiere, it's going to be completely synced, exact space that we want it to. So let's go ahead and just click this check mark to bring it in here, and we can go ahead and right click on that layer and just click rasterize layer. So first things first, let's go ahead and isolate our subject from the background. We're going to want to create a PNG image so that we can just drag and drop this, and it's going to have the style we want. We can put things behind it and all that. So to do that, let's go ahead and just click our pen tool, and we're going to go ahead and just mask out our subject. So just start drawing along the edges. And like I said earlier in this video, the only reason we're using Photoshop is just because it's faster and it's easier. You're still going to have the same tools within Premiere that we're using here, such as masking and stuff like that, such as masking and overlaying. But once we get to the part where we're really designing the ripped edges, Photoshop is definitely going to come in handy. So keep that in mind. Okay, so once you trace that out, just go ahead and connect that, right click, go ahead and click make selection, and then okay. Next, what we're going to do is I'm just going to click select, inverse, and then delete to get rid of the background. You could always just click this mask button, but to keep it more simple, we're just going to delete the background because we're not going to need it within Photoshop. Now what we can do is I'm just going to patch up this selection a little bit more. So I'm going to go up to select, I'm going to go down to modify, and then I'm going to click feather. And feather radius 4 pixels is fine for that, so click OK, and then we can go ahead and just click delete once or twice. You don't want to do it more than that, or it's going to start getting washed away. And what that does is it just blends these edges a little bit more. The good thing about this is since it's ripped paper, it doesn't have to look that clean, so you can still have these kind of jagged edges and stuff like that, and it's still going to really match the look that we're going for, but feathering it up a little bit, have her cut out. Now let's go ahead and start adding that paper look onto here, the ripped edges and stuff like that. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in this tab, and we're just going to look up paper texture, and then go to Google Images, and then we're going to use this one right here. You guys can choose whichever one you want. This is just going to add more of a paper look onto our subject, so we can just right click and click copy image, We can minimize this. And the cool thing about Photoshop is we can just click Control V, paste that on there, Control T just to select it, and then let's go ahead and just size this up so that it's covering our entire subject. Then go ahead and click that check mark when you're ready. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to change the blending mode right here so that that texture looks like it's on our subject. So just click this little drop down and I'm going to select multiply. You can use any blending mode that you want to get the look that you're going for. I'm just gonna go for this so that it really has those dark edges kind of popping out. And then what we can do is just add in some more adjustments later that really change the brightness. What we need to do is just get rid of all this excess paper that we have in the background. To do that, super simple, control click on your layer that has your subject, and then we're going to go up to select and then inverse. Then make sure you do this first. Make sure you select your texture, your paper texture layer, and then just click delete. Okay, so as you guys can see, we got rid of the paper in the background, but we still have that paper texture on our subject like that. What I'm gonna do is just click select, deselect, and then go to my adjustments, and then brightness and contrast. Let's just bump that up, change the contrast around to however we would like it. Another side tip, this is optional, but if you want, you can add any more kind of adjustments, such as lowering the saturation to make it look like it's more like paper. Now let's go ahead and add in those paper rips in the background. So we're gonna go back over to Google and I'm just gonna drag this tab from my other monitor. I'm gonna go ahead and just use this one right here. This is a different one than one I used originally, but you guys can just look around. I think I used this one originally. Once you found the one that you like, just go ahead and right click it, click copy image, and then minimize it. And then same exact thing, Control V just to paste that in there. Now we're just going to go ahead and click this magic wand selector tool, click on the black part, delete it, same with here, just like that. Select, deselect. Now we just have these paper rips and we can start putting them behind our subject. So to start setting that up, let's go back down to our layers and let's just check off the background so we can see this transparent background here. And then we're going to go ahead and select our paper rip layer and we're going to drag that below our subject. So now as you can see, if we select our rips, it is now behind our subject just like this. So we're going to set up the rips, and then once we've done that, we're going to bring it back into Premiere, and then we're completely done with Photoshop. We don't need it anymore. So to set this up, pretty simple, just Control T to transform, and then just rotate this around, flip it around. You can even resize it just like this, and you're going to want to place it along the edges of your subject like that. So here is the left side done. Keep adding onto this. What we're going to do is we're going to select our layer, click Control J to duplicate it, and then Control T again, and we're going to move that, rotate that, place that where we do want it. I'm also going to drop the brightness down a bit on these, so I'm just going to control click them, adjustments, and then brightness and contrast, just drag that down so we can really see the beveled edge of these paper. And then it's as simple as that. Just go ahead and Control J, Control T, place that wherever you want. Just keep putting it in a different spot. Now if you need to get rid of a part of the paper, it's really easy. You can go ahead and just click this lasso tool right here, and then maybe just select the part you don't want, click delete, just like that. You can get rid of that edge too, just delete, select, deselect. So that's how you do that. For the fist, I'm just going to bunch this together, flip it around like that, and then just kind of resize it. Now we're going to go ahead and put it around the head. Now a quick little tip for this is if you select the layer you're working with, go to edit, you can go to transform and then click warp. You can actually take these edges and just bend them down to help fit the shape that you're trying to actually fit into. Okay, so there we go. We have it completed. We just put in all of our ripped edges. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on all these layers. As you can see, I'll make this a little bit bigger so that it's a bit easier to see. So click on all these little paper layers. I'm going to hold down shift and just select all of them. And then I'm going to go to adjustments, brightness and contrast, and I'm just going to change around what that's looking like so you can really see those edges. So now we have our subject with those ripped papers on the outline looking all good. Like I said, now we are ready to bring that back into Premiere, and we can also just set up some quick little frames within Photoshop before we send that into Premiere. So say for example, we're trying to create an effect where the background is wiped away. As the background is wiped away and goes over the subject, you start seeing these rips come in. So that seems super complicated right now. To make it easier, just follow along with what I'm doing here. I'm gonna go ahead and select all of my layers that contain those ripped papers. I'm gonna right click and I'm just gonna merge those layers so they're just one layer that we can flick on and off just like that. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come to my eraser tool. First thing I'm gonna do is just erase the entire right side of this so that only the left side has paper. And that's not gonna make sense at first, but once we start getting into this, you'll understand what I'm doing. So we're only gonna have paper on the left side. I'm gonna go ahead and click File, Save, and I'm going to save this as a PNG. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new folder. I'm just going to name this paper rips, just like that. And I'm going to open up paper rips, and I'm just going to save this as 1. Make sure it's a PNG. That's super important. If you don't save it as a PNG, this is just going to have a white background. So save it as a PNG. It's going to have no background. Click save, click OK. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to click Control Z. You may need to click Control Alt Z just to undo that delete we made. Bring that back, and then what we can do is maybe delete just like the right side, but keep the head and the shoulder there. Now we're going to save that again. So file, save as, save that as a PNG. So PNG, name that 2, save that, and then click Control Alt Z until everything's back, and then we're going to save everything how it is as 3. So file, save as PNG, and we're going to name that 3. So now we have all of our actual frames to set up that paper rip animation. Let's hop back in Premiere, and now I'm going to set it up so you guys can really see what I'm talking about. So first thing we want to throw in here is let's go ahead and find that original screenshot that we made at the beginning. So here's my original screenshot. Let's drag that into Premiere, and I put it over this little marker so I knew where the beginning was, where I made that screenshot. Just make sure it's lined up correctly. And I'm going to go over something like 8 frames. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then click Control K, and then we'll delete the end off there. So we're gonna play it, and it just stops like that. So just an 8-frame frozen screenshot, just like this. So basically just a freeze frame. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up the styling that we want. So I'm just gonna look up a quick little film overlay. If you want some moving overlays, like I said, check out my website. We have some free VHS and film overlays you guys can use. But what I'm gonna do is just look up film overlay. I'm gonna go to images, and then I'm just going to use this one right here. So right click, save image as. You can't just copy and paste in Premiere, unfortunately. So save this in anywhere you can find it. We can now drag that into Premiere just like that. So we have this picture of the film overlay. It's not moving, like I said, just a picture. What we're going to do is I'm going to go over to my effects, and let's look up an invert because I don't want these black lines. So we're going to go down to channel invert, drag it on there so that it's kind of like this negative version here, and then go up to your effect controls in Premiere. So effect controls, and then under opacity, change your blending mode to screen. So now you see we have these little specks, these little dots that we have here, that kind of vintage feel. As you can see, it fades out the edges, just adds a little bit more brightness, just like that. All right, so that's looking good. Now what we're going to do is start adding in our actual animation. So to do that, let's go ahead and just drag out our screenshot so that it's to the point where we want. So drag it all the way out, then take our vintage overlay and just drag it up a few layers so we have some room to work with here. Now let's go and start taking those Photoshop PNGs that we saved earlier. So let's open up our folder. Let's go ahead and find where we saved that. So paper rips, and as you see, 1, 2, 3, we have them saved here. Let's go ahead and drag in 1. So drag in 1, and as you see, since we matched up the resolution, it just fits right into place. If I hide and show the layer, the only difference is you see we have the paper rips and the texture that's just thrown onto that picture, just like that. Now what we can do is we can start setting up this animation. So let's move over 8 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At that eighth frame, let's go ahead and take our rip. Let's go ahead and take our first rip and place it there. So it's going to be 8 frames and then switches over to the rip, just like that. So like this. All right, so now let's set up the animation where it wipes away the background. Let's go ahead and select where our paper rips start, click on our original screenshot, and click Control K to make a cut. Now on this cut, we're going to select this second clip, and we're going to go over to our effects, and we're just going to look up crop. So look up a crop effect, drag a crop effect onto that second clip right there. Come over to your effect controls, select your pen tool under crop right there. It's going to make a little mask, and we can just draw a mask. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a mask around where these paper rips stop. So I'm not going to draw it past here, and that's going to create a pretty cool effect. So let's go ahead and just make this jagged mask. You can add all of this jagged, you can add these jagged edges in because this is going to be our ripped paper. Click here and then connect our mask. Let's go back over to our effect controls, make left 100%. And we need something to put in the background because right now there's just this underneath it. So let's take these, drag them both up. Let's go find a cool little video. I'm gonna go ahead and use giphy.com, and I just looked up money and I used this little GIF right there. Right click, save the image as, save that in a location where you would want. Drag that GIF into your project and then just drag it all the way underneath so that it is below your screenshot and your actual paper rip layer. Now what I'm going to do is just hide everything so we can see what we're working with. Select this GIF of the paper, and I'm just going to click this box next to motion under effect controls, size that all the way up like that, and then we'll play it. So we just have a quick little GIF. You can actually hold down Alt on your keyboard and just drag this over so that we have some little loops of it like this. And that's looking good. So let's go back and show our layers. So here's what you guys can see. As you see right here, since we created that crop, now it's kind of wiping away the screenshot and showing this GIF underneath, just like that. Also, what you can do, click on your screenshot layer, go to your effect controls, go ahead and click on your layer, then click on mask 1. You can change how this rip is actually looking. So if you don't want too many jagged edges, you can fix it like that. Also, you can change around the feather. Too much feather, I think, just doesn't look as good, but you can create this like faded rip. If you really want to make it look like it's really being ripped away, just go for a lower feather. So anything between 10 and 20, I think looks good. So something like that. Now we're just going to keep moving along. So that's our first rip. So it starts like that. Bam, that's our first rip. Let's move 4 frames. So click on your arrow keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. Select these 2 layers right here. This is your screenshot like that, and then this is your actual paper overlay that's going on top. And we're gonna go ahead and just cut those 2. So Control K. And now you can actually delete the rest of this paper overlay because we're gonna bring in our next overlay. So let's go to our folder. Let's go to that folder and we're going to bring over 2. So this is what we saved from Photoshop. Bring that in just like that, drag it where 1 ends, and now you're going to see this is what it looks like. So here's 1, pay attention to here. Here's 2 where we have more of the paper. We're going to click over 4 frames, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're just going to make another cut on these 2. So select them both, Control K. Now for this, what we're going to do is we're going to click on our screenshot layer. We're going to go back up to our effect controls. We're going to grab our crop and we're just going to move it over so that it is matching the edge of where our new paper rips are. So you're going to see we're creating an animation where it looks like it's progressively being ripped across the screen. And once we play that all out, you guys are really going to see what I'm talking about, and it's really all going to make sense. So as I just drag here, that is what we are creating. That is the little animation. And notice we're not using keyframes here. We don't want it to really move across. We want to have it kind of be like this stop motion jumpiness, and that's what really gives the feel to it. So I'll play so far. Here's what we have. There's what we have. The kind of the rip is moving along. Now let's add our next little movement. So let's move over 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same exact thing. Select both of those. Control K, and then we can get rid of 2. And we can now bring in 3. So let's open up our folder with our Photoshop saved PNGs and bring in 3. Drag that in there. And sorry, I was actually supposed to delete that and put 3 there. So 1, 2, 3. Now let's go click on this bottom part, click our mask, and we can move our rips all the way to this edge. So now we're really starting to wipe away our scene. All right, now let's play that out. So here's what we have, bam, bam, bam. And as you see, it's starting to look like an animation where this background is really disappearing. Now here's a little trick, a cool little aesthetic thing that you guys can do. If you guys have the Red Giant Universe plugins, there's a super cool effect. So I'm gonna go to effects and I'm going to look up the ecto effect. So look up ecto, drop universe ecto onto all of your screenshot layers, not the top ones. You want to drop them onto your screenshot background layers. That just kind of adds this cool little energy thing on the edges of masks, which is really awesome. I have a bunch more videos talking about the universe ecto plugin as well as the Saber plugin, which is free for After Effects. You don't have to pay for that. Links down in the description if you're interested in that. Let's change that around and look like it's kind of burning away. So select your screenshot, go up to your effect controls and just find where ecto is, and I'm just going to change the color preset to warm. So now it really does look like it's kind of burning away, and we can do that for all these other ones too. So change your preset to warm, and there's other presets if you do want to create other effects. Like here's aqua light, pretty cool one. You can make it look green, you can make it white. Now we just need to finish this off so that it's completely ripped away, and then we're going to add a few more little cool things. So let me play that. Bam. Our background is starting to go away, and you can see this kind of video that we have underlaid. And we're going to keep 3 the same, so we'll just drag that out. We're going to click on this last screenshot area. We're going to go down to our mask, and we're going to make it so that our mask is now just completely wiping away the background. So take all these edges and just make it so that our entire so that our entire screenshot is 100% masked out. So now that's completely masked out. So here's what it looks like. Bam, completely wipes away in that cool little stop motion fashion the background and reveals this money video in the back just like that. All right, so that's looking good. Now just a little added bonus to kind of make this look a little bit cooler is what I like to do. Let me just zoom out of all this. I like to select all of these little frames that we just did here. I'm gonna right click them and then I'm going to nest them just like that. And this doesn't really do anything because we could always just double click on this nested sequence and then make any adjustments here. So it does put them in a little organized place. What we can also do is we can make a little keyframe animation so that we just have some little zooming in effects. So let's click on our nested sequence. Let's go up to our effect controls, and over here in our effect controls you're going to see motion, position, scale. Let's go ahead and make sure we're at the beginning position of this clip, and then we're going to click the stopwatch for position and scale to set a keyframe. Now we're going to move a little bit, maybe to around the part where things start happening, so the 8th frame, and I'm just gonna scale this up a tiny bit. You don't want to move too much, so scale it like that. You can also move your position over. Let's maybe move it over a little bit to the left so we can really zoom in on the action that's happening, and let's play that out. So just a little zoom in so you guys can see what's happening. It just adds some motion, and then let's go ahead and just go to the end here and just make it so that we're gradually just getting a little bit bigger. So we have our zooming in, we have that rip effect. We can start adding some more cool stuff. So let's kind of add a more little vintage vibe onto this video in the background. Let's just add some noise. So let's double click on our nested sequence, and then here where it says Giphy, this is the video of the money in the back. Let's look up a little noise effect. Let's drop noise onto all these, and just to make that easier, let's just select all the GIFs, right click, and then nest them so that they're only one clip, and then we can just drop the noise onto there. Next, what we can do is I'll just hide all this so that we can just see the GIF. We can come up to our effect controls, and then we can just bump up the amount of noise. Make that nice and grainy. Let's turn off use color noise so that it's just black and white noise like that, and that looks pretty cool. Just kind of nice grainy vintage look to kind of play well together with the paper rips that we're going for on there. Another thing that I did to add some more movement that I was talking about so that this doesn't look as static is a little shake effect. Now this is from the Sapphire pack, which is pretty expensive, but it's pretty easy to create a shake effect yourself. What you can do is you can do it using keyframes. You could just nest this again so that you don't have to pay attention and mess these up. So right click, nest, and then you can go ahead and just keyframe, position, and scale, and then kind of just do a little shake yourself. So scale it up, move it over. That one's a little rough because I did it in like 5 seconds, but let's just undo all that. And I'm just going to show you using the plugin way. If you do have the Sapphire plugins, there's a little cool plugin called Shake, and I'm actually planning on creating a preset for you guys, putting it in the next pack available on Media Monopoly. That's going to be in the works soon. So let's go up to our shake, let's go to our effect controls, let's go down to shake, and let's bump down the amplitude. We don't need it too crazy, 0.5, and that should be fine. So that just adds some motion moving in. As you can see, just a slight little shake going on there. So that's how you do that. Now I'm just going to show you one more thing, which is creating that paper subject explosion animation that I showed you at the beginning. Let me show you real quick in case you guys forgot. So let me show this layer, and then this right here, where it goes bam, just explodes. And essentially this is all we're doing. I'll just move frame by frame. You guys can see what I did was I just cut it up in Photoshop and just made it move around like that. So let me show you exactly how to do that. What I'm gonna do is just select all these layers. So hold down shift and just select everything, right click, and then merge layers. So now we have one layer that we can work with. Simple as this. Just go to your pen tool and then just kind of trace out parts that you want to cut out. So make selection, and then if you want, you can put it in its own layer. I'm just going to click Control T and just move that back and then select. Same exact thing. Let's do that with the head. Make selection, okay, Control T, just move that up. You don't want to move it up a crazy amount because this is going to be the first part of the actual animation. Let's do it with the left arm, okay, Control T, bam, separate it from the body. What we're going to do is click File, Save As, and we're going to name that, and we're going to make sure that's a PNG. Always make sure it's a PNG. This time name it something different, so I'll maybe name it rip1, save it, and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're just going to go ahead, and you can even use your lasso tool if you want, now that this is already cut up with a pen tool, and you can just select this, Control T, make it move out further like that. Lasso tool to select a piece, Control T, move it out a little bit more. Lasso tool to select it. You can also rotate these, you can turn them. I found that rotating these actually makes the animation look a little bit better. Also scaling them down, but just add some rotation, add something that's just gonna add some like movement that's gonna catch the person's eye when this is exploding and popping like that. Save it as a PNG like I said. Bam, save that. And then let's do it one more time. So select this, move further, save it as a little PNG, name that rip3, and then save that. So now let's go back into Premiere and we're gonna finish this all up. So let's go find that folder where we just saved all those ripped frames. What I'm gonna do is, let's just delete this for now. We're gonna do this in the nested sequence. So double click that so that we have just some more background to be going off of. And then now it's as simple as just dragging in our paper rips just like that. So rip 1, let's maybe make this a little bit faster. So 1, 2, let's make it 2 frames, Control K to delete that, to cut and then delete that. Let's bring in rip number 2, so rip 2, 2 frames, 1, 2, Control K, delete the end, and then rip 3. Bring in rip 3, 1, 2, Control K, delete the end. And here's the animation, bam, just like that. That's why we're doing it only in 2 frames, because you want it to happen quick so that it really does look like actual video and it looks like animation. And that actually looks pretty cool. I think that one turned out a lot different than the first time. Another cool thing that I didn't show in that kind of sequence preview in the beginning is you can do this cool little effect where it pieces itself back together. So let's select everything we just did, hold down Alt and just drag it over. That's going to duplicate it all. Select that all again, right click, nest it, select that new clip, right click, speed duration, and just click reverse speed. So here's what we got. Normal, bam, explodes, goes back together just like that. You can loop that however many times you want. Just grab another screenshot, so 3 PNG, hold down Alt, put that at the end if you want it to stay put back together, just like that. So like I said, that's just really the basis of using these paper rips. Essentially just teaching you how to use frames and pictures to create video using this animation, this kind of stop motion animation. And like I said, you can create some really cool stuff with this, guys. You can add in anything from any of my other tutorials to stylize this. Say you want to add that ecto thing, you can add anything under the sun onto this to really make it look crazy. So bam. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys later.